Hey guys, James Nielsen here from Tech Writing. Today's video is going to be on our conference poster assignment worth 10% of your grade. I'm going to explain why we're doing this and some of the basic theory behind it, but then get more into the practical and look at templates, okay, and the assignment guidelines. Um, excuse me. You might first wonder, like, we're already doing this massive project, this IMRAD-R, that's worth 25 to 35% of our grade. We have all these drafts due, right? Like, why are we also having now this extra assignment that's worth 10% of your grade? And so we're going to explain kind of why we need this assignment, why it exists. And it really revolves around this idea of genre transfer and genre translation, okay, which is the concept of taking content from one genre and transferring it into content into another genre to look like a completely different genre with the same content. We see this often done with books becoming movies or TV shows. Okay, so that is a good example of, and there are good and bad examples of that we can see, right, where the adaptation did not follow the book so well, and fans and audience members were upset, and it maybe didn't do so well. But then there are also times where the book, the movie is quite a bit different from the book, but it's still okay because the genre might require some slight differences. Okay, um, so in most cases with genre transfer and translation, content is the same, transferred into a different genre. Okay. Um, in this course, we teach you some important genres with IMRAD and design-based ones, and we teach you genres that we think you'll actually use in real life, like the resume and cover letter, research report. We do a couple of different design-based stuff, like the technical instructions. You might not actually create technical instructions in your real life, but you're learning important concepts there, right? You're learning concepts of design and proximity and chunking and contrast and white space and all these different things that we're learning, right? And so our genres that we're learning in this class are partially important because they're important genres, but also because we're learning important concepts within these genres, such as design, research concepts with IMRAD-R. The writing process is a big one that we're learning through these drafts. And some students are struggling to keep up with these drafts, but I promise that this method not only saves you time, but it produces a better final project, okay? Instead of the way that students may end up doing the IMRAD-R without the writing process mixed in, which would mean that they might procrastinate it until the last minute. And then also, because they're not going through that drafting process, the final product might not turn out quite as good, right? Other things that we're focusing on, concepts of language and grammar and stylistics. I'm hoping to make a video about that this week. And then problem solving. A lot of tech writing is focused around problem solving. And so we have these basic stylistic and kind of conventions and principles that we're learning. And our hope is that when you leave our class and go into other classes and also into the real world, that you'll be able to use these concepts as well as the genres that we've learned to then discover new genres and to be able to write in those genres. Because honestly, I can't truly prepare you guys for every genre you'll write in. First of all, I don't know which ones exist I don't know all of the ones that exist in Kazakhstan. I don't know how they might be slightly different from what we're teaching here. And I also don't know what genres will exist in the future, right? And so if you think about it, it's much more effective to learn how uh, to easily um, adapt to a genre than it is to try to learn every single genre. Does that make sense? Um, and so with our class in week 4, we read the rhetorical situation, and we also read another text called Emerging Personal Media Genres. And so we've learned this idea that texts don't exist in a bubble, that there's a reason why they exist, and often in order for it to be considered a rhetorical situation, it's a text that will help, um, that is created to help make a change or to um, uh, create some kind of action, right? um, that leads to a solution or attempts to lead to a solution. Um, and with the conference poster, we'll talk about what it's attempting to do here. It's attempting to convey really complicated information in a very clear and concise way, like you would at a conference when you're standing next to your conference poster and you're presenting it to people that are walking by, right? And so it exists for a reason. It fits into the rhetorical situation as a text, as a text there. And so we want to make sure that we're following genre conventions, right? So like if for example your mom texts you and says, hey, I going to the grocery store to buy some food, can you send me your grocery list? And you send her what looks like an essay 1 or an essay 2 from 150, if you remember that, if you haven't blocked that out due to the trauma. And what would she say? You know, if you sent her that, like a 5-page essay with a reference list, she'd be like, what the hell is this? Right? Like, what do you, like, what do you, why did you send me this? Like, I want a grocery list. And so even like every type of communication that we have is in some way has conventions, right? Even if one of the conventions is that it has no conventions. Anyway, um, so with a grocery list, what are the genre conventions? Well, it's short. It's a list of usually food, but sometimes other things, right? Maybe if it's like a a bigger store that has like other things, right? Like Rom Store or Walmart or something small. Maybe there's also going to be pots and pans, but mostly food, and it's a bullet pointed list. It might have amounts or quantities on it, like a dozen eggs, right? Or 1 loaf of bread, something like that. But we're doing this because we're always considering our audience. Genres exist for our benefit. These are not meant to confine us, although they do restrict us in how we're able to communicate, but they restrict us to the betterment of the communication, hopefully. Okay. And so we're trying to socialize you guys as writers in various genres, such as the I'm Red R. And so that's why if you don't follow the guidelines and the rubric, you lose points, right? Because you did not follow those conventions. And we're trying to get you to learn that. And by doing this, your audience also expects these conventions, even if they don't know the word conventions or genre or any of that, right? They expect these things naturally. All right, so that's kind of the theory behind this. And so what what I'm hoping you guys will learn here is what you have to do for this assignment is you have to take everything that you've done with your IMRAD-R, and luckily for this assignment, you don't have to create any new content, okay? You'll have to write new sentences possibly, maybe create new graphics, right? Like design stuff, but you don't have to actually do any more research or like everything, all of the content that you need should exist in your IMRAD-R research report, okay? And so, there's only a week to do this assignment, but I think we have more than adequate enough time for this. I am gonna give you guys a slight extension if you're in my class on this, just because I realize that it's finals, or that it's the last week of the semester and you guys are busy. But also remember that we were able to do technical instructions within 1 week, right? And so in that one, we didn't have the content to begin with. This one, we already have all the content. All we have to do is the design stuff, right? Okay, so let's see, looking at my notes here. Let's go over the guidelines basically here. So feel free to read through this, all of it. I'm just going to skim through some of the basics here. So yeah, you're going to put together a conference poster. I'll show you the templates. Even though it's just a digital poster, you do want to think about how it'll be larger. Okay, now luckily our templates kind of do that for you, so you don't really have to think about it that much. Just realize that if you have like a graphic and it's a little bit pixelated on just like a basic like A4, is it, paper, realize that when it's blown up onto the size of a poster, it's going to even be more pixelated, okay? And you'll lose points for that. So just make sure that it looks like it's able to be blown up and printed out, okay? On top of the conference poster here, it doesn't say it right here, but it does say it in our rubric and in our syllabus. But part of the conference poster is also this, the 20-second pitch, okay? And so you have to come up with a 20-second pitch, which is essentially, again, let's look at the rhetorical situation. You're standing next to your conference poster right here, okay? By the way, do you guys like my Christmas tree? You're standing next to your conference poster, and someone approaches you and they'll say, hey, what's your research about? And the 20-second pitch is what you would say to them, okay? How would you interest them, okay? Again, we'll look at these things in a little bit more detail in a second. So you're going to record that pitch in video format, upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video. You can also upload it to your Google Drive if you want. Just make sure that I have access to view it, okay? In fact, I should probably add that there. Sometimes I don't get access. Make sure that I have access. It does need to be properly cited, okay, with citations on the poster itself. And then some checklist stuff to think about there. All right. And then we also have the rubric. The rubric is pretty basic. Content design, the 20-second pitch is worth 15% of the grade, and then language or grammar. Feel free to look through this. It, like I said, is pretty basic, pretty understandable. As always with my rubrics, I say to make sure to follow the assignment guidelines as well, and so make sure you're going to actually read through the assignment guidelines. Okay, let's look at one other source. All right, so the other source that I want to show you guys is from MIT, and this is actually where we got some of our ideas for this assignment. And they just have some good information here. And right now, and maybe it's been happening for a while, I'm not honestly sure, but there's been this transition with conference posters as technology and as the internet and as digital media becomes more and more pervasive in society. Conference posters are changing a little bit. And so let me show you guys what a conference poster looked like that a student turned in our first semester teaching this course. Right here, okay? So I'll zoom out a little bit. And so likely you guys have seen this setup right here, okay? This is the format right here. You can see that it has a lot of the same sections as your IMRAD, and you're simply finding a way to write the information in a more concise way on a big poster, okay, with adequate graphics. We'll come back to this idea and we'll talk about how we could possibly do this differently, okay? So this is a format that I will allow, but I'm not going to recommend anymore, and I'll show you the one that I do recommend more. And it's kind of based around this idea, but really we want, you know, we're lazy, right? As consumers and communicators, we often want information given to us in the most basic way. And if you have just like this poster full of lots of words and people are all walking around, it's difficult to engage your audience and to get them interested, okay? And so you want to have most of it to be figures and only a little bit of text and only a little bit of title. Now, it doesn't have to be in this exact format. It can be landscape or portrait, and it can be rearranged in different ways. Obviously, the text isn't all just going to go down here and the figures are going to go right here. It's just showing you the amount, okay? So again, scan through this. I will ask that you guys read through this MIT explanation. I'll show you guys where it's at. In fact, it's in a few different places on our Moodle. We have, and at least this is my Moodle here, we have a place for conference poster templates. So I actually downloaded it as a PDF and put it there if you want to look at it there. And then the actual link to it is MIT IMRAD guide right here. Oh, I don't know if I have a direct link to the conference poster. Okay, I'm going to add a link. Let's see, where will I add it? I'll just add it right here. Okay, I'll add it right here. And this is where you can find the assignment guidelines in Rubric, okay, under the current week, week 15. So read through this. They also go into the 20-second pitch. Let's come back to that later. And then they give us some poster templates and examples. Feel free to use their template. Feel free to check out their annotations. Again, you'll see that these are designed kind of in similar ways to the example that I showed you that the student did in the first semester that we taught this course here a year ago. And there are certain things that are okay here, you know, so you want to follow their advice here, like using headers, you know, matching colors, making sure that these boxes aren't just full of text and that we have some graphics, right, mixed in. But again, there's a lot of text here, right? And let's just go right into the methods that I would recommend. Okay, so I'm going to pull up this PowerPoint here. This PowerPoint is also available again in the same place on our Moodle under conference poster templates at the top of our Moodle. You can download this, and this one is great because it has. Let's see. I wonder what screen am I sharing? Am I sharing this screen? I think I'm sharing this screen. Let's share this screen because it's bigger. There we go. All right. So as you guys can see here, we've got a few different styles. I'm going to ask that you don't just do the presenter or figure hero or data art example here, okay? Those don't quite have enough text for this assignment. Are they effective? Yeah, they are. If you're, and again, that's for my own class, okay? If your teacher approves it, then that's okay. It looks really nice, right? But think about, again, the reason why we're doing this. Genres do evolve, they change over time. And as we get more into digital media and as, you know, we become more distracted through social media and movies and all of that, we may not want to sit and read lots of information. And also, it takes a lot of skill to actually say things in very clear, concise ways. Sometimes it's easy to write 50 pages about really complicated things. But actually creating something like this, where you can break down really, really complicated concepts in ways that general public could understand, is often what I think makes people successful. Like people that, you know, maybe like, people that like publish these books on, like, I don't know if you guys follow like Tim Ferriss or Sam Harris, like these, or like Jordan Peterson. He's a little bit controversial, but like these thought leaders, you know, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with them, I think part of the reason why they're popular is because they're able to condense difficult and complicated ideas into things like this. And we would like that for you guys as well. But again, let's not use this example or this example or this example, especially not this one, right? Instead, we're going to use something a little bit more like this, okay? And this is just the basic template, okay? And so we have our ammo bar here. This is where you're going to put your all of your, keep it messy, okay? Oh, this section is just for you. All right. Anyway, we'll look at some examples, okay? Let's keep going here. This one is the template, and so it doesn't have any of the content on it yet. So let's look at some examples here. So why is this style really, why do people really like this style? One of the reasons is because you say something right in the middle here. You have this really massive section that takes up a large portion of the poster. And what you say there is something very basic, but very clear. It can be complicated, like you can use complicated jargon if you need to. But it still should be like written in a very concise, clear way. Okay, make sure that it's obviously you know, that you're using the design principles that we've learned here, but it's going to be a really big kind of middle section, okay? So I'd ask you to check through these. Okay, we have some good examples here. You can try the hat icon style as well there. We really respond to these kind of phrases that are really powerful and direct, you know, when it just has like this middle phrase. I think what you could put there is probably something to do with the solution that you discovered, or possibly the answer to your research question. I know I've mentioned for my class that the research question is important, but for our class isn't quite as important as making sure that we're doing the problem solving model, right? We're starting with the problem and then going to a solution. But you know, whatever you find is like the most powerful thing that you discovered, that's often the thing that you're going to put right there in the middle in big giant letters so that people immediately see it, right? And then if they're interested, they can look further, right? They can look on the sides and see that extra bits of information there, okay? Like I said, think about ways that you can say this information in a way that's engaging, that's interesting, right? It's not just about saying it correctly at this point with our conference poster with this genre, because you're trying to engage people to come and stop by. Remember the rhetorical situation. Remember how you're trying to interest your audience here, okay? Some other sources here, by the way, this PowerPoint comes from another professor here at NU who teaches technical communication for graduate students. I'm not sure if he was the original creator or not, but there's some free icons. Here you can purchase things. I don't love the idea of you guys having to buy things, so I would say you probably don't need to buy things. But oh yeah, so you can create biology figures there if that is helpful. Sometimes it helps just to scroll through and look at ideas and see what other people are doing. And so if you're having some issues with design, scroll through some stuff. Look at templates. Look at different designs. Wait for something to jump out, okay, and interest you. A lot of these are basic things that I don't need to go over in this video. You guys can just look through the PowerPoint yourself. And yeah, we have a lot of examples. Okay, so check those out. This is a cool thing to do with the QR code. In fact, we also give you, well, we'll get to the QR part in a minute. And then we have all the templates that you can download. Okay. You're also welcome to use this design, the L design or the butter poster design. You can use these styles if you want as well. This is kind of a mixed style, right? Where we don't necessarily have to do the very basic middle thing where we only have one sentence, and then, you know, everything else is very simplistic, versus like that other version, which is like super text heavy. This is a little bit something closer to being in the middle. All right. This is how to do the QR code. Some theory there. Feel free to read through these. This doesn't really, we don't need to learn about that. Remember, again, we're trying to engage our audience in a subtle way. As I've told you, with technical writing, this is all about problem solving, and so figuring out how to take 20 to 30 pages or 10 pages, whatever you got, of your IMRAD research content and portraying it in a simplified way on a poster. Okay. Remember that designers love to delete things, okay? And if it looks too simple, then you're done. Okay, you do need to include the most basic, most important basic concepts, but it can be simple. All right. Okay, I think that is most of what I wanted to talk about. Just so you guys are aware, you are allowed to do the other method here. Let me pull up the, we're almost done here. Let's pull up this. All right, so you are welcome to do the NU poster method if you want to do the NU poster method. That is possible. If you want to do the traditional poster method, that is also an option. A lot of people use PowerPoint to create their posters, as far as like what what software you'll use. I know that sounds kind of strange, but they just do. Okay, these are all PowerPoints right here. This is a PowerPoint. And so when you go to our um, templates here, conference poster templates, you'll see that a lot of them are PowerPoints, okay? In fact, they're all PowerPoints. And then you can link to the templates within this PowerPoint. This is the one that we were just looking at, okay? And so this is where you'll find all of the newer templates that I just showed you. This is the MIT PDF, but you can find the actual website. I'll link that in our current week, okay? And then, like I said, the NU posters. So again, it's up to you what style that you prefer for this method. If you want to do the more wordy method, you can to some extent. I do still expect, even if it is in this format, okay, if it's still in this format or in this format, I will respect the format, okay, and realize that it does need to have a little bit more words, but I do still expect it to be written in a concise way, right? So it still shouldn't be overly wordy, unnecessarily wordy. It should just say what it needs to say rhetorically, right? But if you use one of those even smaller ones, then you'll have to write less words. And it could be, I think, more effective, in my opinion, that newer method. All right. I believe that is it. Again, this will actually help you with not only understanding genres and being prepared into the future, but it'll actually help you understand your IMRAD-R research right now, because you're going to have to see it in different ways. And I really think it will add to your understanding of the information that you've been studying for the last 6 weeks, and you'll continue to study for 2 more weeks. And then one final note for my class, again, this assignment can be submitted late. I will allow late submissions without a penalty. If you're watching this and you have a different instructor, make sure they're okay with that. It's just I've been very busy with a lot of things, and I'm okay if it's late because I might be busy not actually grading it right away, okay? Just make sure that you submit your conference poster before you submit your IMRAD-R final report. And so, sometime during finals week. The deadline right now, I think, is Sunday. If you turn it in later, that's okay. Just make sure you turn it in before you turn in your IMRAD-R report. As always, email me if you have any questions. It is a little bit of a strange week for week 15. I don't have normal office hours this week due to conferences with students. But if I have a conference with you, you're welcome to ask me questions about your conference poster if we have time. Like I said, as always, you can meet with me. Of course, if it's serious, and you can't, I can find time to meet with students who need my help. I'm willing to help. Just please let me know, and don't procrastinate this to the last minute. I do genuinely, like I said, think that this will help you in understanding your IMRAD-R research well. And good luck, guys. We'll talk to you again soon.